At some point in time, you tricked that woman into believing that you loved her and you put your seed inside her and left her. Did you not?
No.
At no point in time did you ever utter the words that you loved her or made her believe that you loved her. What caused the breakup? Give me the correction. What made space between you and her?
You want to know? Between like the women I was with? Okay. I'll be honest with you then. I got all of my kids, 3 different moms, all of my kids. I don't got no baby mama drama.
It's yes or no, bro. So you just did you ain't give a fuck. Just hey, fuck it. I'll take the 18 years from a couple kids or whatever case might be. Like,
look how Willie got you just hanging out.
So
I am a man and I am frolicking among many women. I'm going to be disciplined enough to not do that and wreck that woman's ability to be marketable because I was reckless, I was selfish, I was narcissistic, and I was a pooky.
Yeah, I know for me, I've never actually dated. I got kids. I've never actually seriously dated a woman with kids. But when you think about it logically, women tend to get into a protective mode when they have kids. And I know that I could never be in a relationship with a woman who doesn't allow me to be the leader of my household. A lot of women, they'll protect it. You won't be able to discipline them, and it's like, how can I discipline my kids, but then I look at your kids and I'm like, all right, wait till they mom get home. I'm like, hell no. This whole house gonna move as a unit. Like, you're not about to do the, that fearful thing of like, oh, I just don't want you to, like, no, you have to trust me. You have to trust me as the leader. If I'm your leader, you got to trust me as the leader of the kids and stuff like that. So I do think it complicates everything because the woman always has to have the interest in her head. She always has to have the interest of her child, and she'll never feel like you have the best interest of her and her child for the most part.
So are you talking about corporal punishment?
Real quick. Hold on, let me ask you something, Trev. Corporal punishment. So you have kids. Why you didn't marry your child's mother?
I was young and I wasn't. There was like situationships where I just kind of dealt with a woman for a long time. I just kind of like I was dealing with a woman, dealing with women for a long time, and we ended up having kids. And it was never something that I necessarily planned to do. So yeah, like it just didn't work out. I was the type of person that, like, when I was younger, it's like the second that I'm like, oh, this is not gonna work, it's not gonna work. I'm out. So
how old were you?
25, 26.
25, 26.
I had all my kids between 24 and 26.
Your frontal lobe is developed at that point in time. So when did you realize that you was just making a baby mother and being a pookie?
Well, for one, I want to make the distinction that, like, I don't care about I don't care about like the I never cared about the whole marriage thing. That was never like a me thing, like I gotta marry my baby moms. Like, I'm from the hood. Everybody I know got baby moms. So like my mindset isn't like, oh, I'll get married, you get married, and then you have, like, no, you can have baby moms, you can co-parent. Like, that was always that was always my
saying view. Everyone had baby moms, that mean you were impressionable. That mean you weren't the leader.
Oh yeah. I wasn't a leader. I'm a leader now. I was always. What do you mean I was impressionable? Yeah, I grew up in a certain environment. Because I was of that environment.
You used the trope that everybody was doing it. So when in Rome, you said
what the Romans do.
You said it cavalierly, like it was cool.
Yeah. Not even just that. My family, my dad never married my mom. My mom had a husband, but my dad never married my mom.
Which part about that makes it right, though?
I don't know who else is from the hood here. But like, this is natural. This is my community. This is what we do. So I was only doing what we do.
So it's natural.
You can't expect me to take you seriously.
Got you.
Yeah, it's natural. Yeah, it's what. And I'm. That doesn't mean that I'm advocating that I think that that's the best way and the most optimal way to go about life at all. No, I believe in marriage. Like, me and my lady about to get married soon, so I believe in that. But you just you do what you know. You only know what you know. So.
Bro, Kenny said you were a pookie, bro.
That's cool if I'm a pookie, but
that would fit the archetype of being a pookie, that you are mirroring what other people are doing around there and you're creating baby mothers. That would be within that ballpark.
I would disagree, and the reason I would disagree
How so?
So to be a pookie, you have to be a bum, right?
That's what I thought.
Not necessarily.
To be a pookie, you gotta terrorize the hood. You just making broken homes, right? And broken homes in a way of like you're not taking care of your kids. For me, hold on, let me finish. For me, I got my kids 5 days a week. Like my kids go to school with me. They see their moms on the weekend. I take care of everything. My kids. I have a trust. My kids are in my trust. Like I'm with my kids at every practice, every day. We got a schedule. Like we at wrestling. I'm right there. I'm not one of the only parents that's like right next to them. Like, no, you're cheating. Do your jumping jacks. So if that's a pookie to you, that's cool.
Okay, so I'm looking at it. You made a false promise so you could get in between that woman's legs, and then you didn't see it through. Okay. Bob Marley had a line saying that,
real quick before you build on that foundation.
May I finish? And you can have that. Bob Marley had a line said, "To awaken a woman's love and not be intentional makes you a coward." You understand? Okay. And you just gave a dynamic that said, when in Rome, I was doing what everyone else was doing. Your frontal lobe was already developed. You knew right from wrong when you was doing that, right?
That's right from wrong depends on where you grew up at.
We need a different messenger for this message.
No, I want him to do this.
Oh no, we have a good messenger because I didn't go out there and do that. And I kept the principle. Being a West Indian man, that's strange that I wouldn't ever leave somebody in that type of position.
In what type of position?
I'm an exemplary person to speak about that. Because if I'm not going to truly be
blockchain,
hold on.
Blockchain. I know you might not agree with Kenny, but he's not wrong.
No. I'm not saying Kenny is wrong. The messenger is
that's
wrong.
Why it's funny.
Because like you making it seem like you get bitches, bro. You don't. You didn't have an issue. Like you would never in a position to be having 2-3 kids in 2 years. That wasn't your thing. That's why I'm saying the messenger is different. No, like say
I want to battle the logic.
I know what I'm saying. I know what your get down is. If you were saying this, bro, I'd have been on mute. Or if you were saying this, I'd have been on mute. Kobe, because you in Dallas, I'd have been on mute. But
Willie,
Kenny,
you leave with your wallet. And you light skin.
Hold on. I don't want us to get too far off the topic. Hold on, Willie, hold on.
Blockchain, no. He won't the smoke.
Willie.
He won't the smoke. You gotta let him have it.
I seen you. You got hips. You got childbearing hips.
Hold on.
Kenny, don't do that. Kenny, don't do that. Gooch, don't do that, Gooch.
You ain't talking to me.
Kenny,
you never had a six-pack in your life.
Hey, Gooch, don't do that. You're real dope having a conversation. You don't have the conversation.
Jail, bro. You can't call nobody a pookie when you went to jail. Like you out here strong arming bitches. You can't call him a pookie.
No. Oh, like, wait, you read my criminal record? Oh, like, okay.
Kenny, you are not in a position to criticize nobody about doing some shit that you've never done before.
I am regarding
you're not. You're a West Indian man that didn't get no bitches, and now you're trying to call somebody a pookie.
Wait. I'm a rags to riches story.
What are we doing?
Hold on.
I'm a rags to riches story.
No, hold on. I want to do this. I want to have this conversation with Kenny.
Okay, go ahead. I'll leave you alone.
Kenny's under the impression that right and wrong is just a thing, right? I don't know if he gets that from the Bible, or I don't know if he just thinks it's this unanimous thing in life that it's just a right and there's a wrong. That's not true. It depends on what I believe in, and it depends on what you believe in. You got to hold me accountable to what I believe in. Like if we were having a conversation and you said, "All right, this is my worldview," all right, I might look for inconsistencies that you to prove you wrong about. Oh, you're inconsistent here, but I would never say that. Oh, you got to believe in my book, or oh, you got to get married to people. Like that's you can't say right and wrong when it comes to that.
No, I didn't say about that. You didn't stay with the woman and show leadership qualities when you were old enough. You used the trope that everyone was doing this bad habit, so I indulged in it, so it was okay. At some point in time, you tricked that woman into believing that you loved her, and you put your seed inside her and left her. Did you not?
No.
At no point in time did you ever utter the words that you loved her or made her believe that you loved her. What caused the breakup? Give me the correction. What made space between you and her?
You want to know? Between like the women I was with? Okay. I'll be honest with you then. I always was dealing with other women, and I told them that. Now, when it came time to for us to be in like a situationship, I never asked no girl to be my girlfriend until the one that I'm with now. But
Okay,
me and the
so
other ones were in situationships. These were women who I had conversations with. I'm like, yo, this is what I'm gonna do. You know, if you want to stick around, that's on you, right? Because they're like, oh, you might change. Cool, you can do that. But this is what I'm gonna do. I never gave a woman a commitment until the woman I'm with right now. Ever in life.
But you was committed to busting a seed inside somebody and not taking accountability for the actions, knowing that you said you were a player, but you still went and did what you did because when in Rome. So you okay, make it make sense now.
So when you say not account, what do you mean accountable for the
You're
actions?
not accountable. You just gave a whole story that you told her that you are a player, but nonetheless, you went and busted nothing her and got her with seeds.
Yeah, when you fuck, you know, that's what happens. So when you say not accountable, what do you mean? What do you mean I'm not accountable?
You're not. You just gave a whole story that I was a player and she knew that. So that means if I'm a player and a woman
I never said I was a player, but I said I was, you know, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. I'm not ready for
okay, correct me if I'm wrong. You said that you
had
a lot of women.
I wasn't in a committed relationship. But also, hold on, let me say this too though. But they also could not touch no other nigga. I want to add that in there too for you, Kenny.
Oh, so you was pimping.
No, I'm like, yo, this is what I'm gonna do. But also, just so you understand, you can't do that. Like you know,
you had a dripping curl.
No, I had no curl. I had no curl.
I mean, that kind of doesn't make it better though, because I mean, based off what Kenny's saying,
make it better. It might make it worse.
You had a bunch of women that could only rely on you, and you got them pregnant.
Rely on me for what?
For whatever, because you said that they couldn't deal with nobody else.
No, they could only
you were dealing with other people, but they couldn't deal with someone else.
You was a narcissist and a pooky.
So basically, you removed their options, gave them a child, which took them off the market.
Yeah, so you were a narcissist and a pooky.
Hold on. So I gave them a child?
It's your seed.
My God.
It's my baby.
I mean, it's your seed. You implanted the seed in the soil.
No, we fucked.
You had no intention of
being but I mean, you nutted in them, right? I mean, you could pull out. You could use a condom. You could use birth control. You nutted in them.
Well,
you know what happens when you do that?
I didn't want to use a condom with them.
Right. So he's right then.
He's right about what?
He's right. You was reckless, and you led them down a bad path.
How was I reckless if I was having unprotected sex with my chick,
a woman that you did not want to keep?
You were having unprotected sex and busting in multiple women that you didn't want to keep.
Okay, so I guess from what I'm gathering here is your worldview says that if I'm going to have unprotected sex inside of a woman, I have to be committed to her and we have to plan a life together.
No, I can answer that.
That's not my worldview.
No. So I am a man and I am frolicking among many women. I'm going to be disciplined enough to not do that and wreck that woman's ability to be marketable because I was reckless, I was selfish, I was narcissistic, and I was a pookie.
Okay.
Oh, he said frolicking.
I understand what you're saying. So I don't have your worldview. I don't think that women with children are not marketable. I'm not like one of those guys.
Would you want the same for your daughter? Would you want someone to do the same with your daughter as you've done with other women?
My daughter's gonna make her own decisions in life.
No, but what I'm saying is if you could control it and it was up to you, if you had an influence over it.
Let him talk.
I'm saying like if you had something to say about it, right? Like as a dad, you had influence on it, and you had the choice for your daughter to get pregnant by someone who's dealing with other women and doesn't have an intention to be with her long term. Would that be what you want for her?
No. So I would want my daughter
yes
to
or no. Yes or no.
Hold on,
yes
I'm gonna clarify. No,
simple yes or no, dude.
No, I gotta tell you my. I gotta tell you
what you would want or not.
I have to tell you my stance. I can't just say yes or no. That's not a conversation. What I'm saying is, I would want my daughter to make the smart decision for herself and what she wants out of life.
Of course, if you had a say in it, in that smart decision that your daughter is making, and you were to give your daughter your opinion or your advice.
Yeah.
Would you want the same outcome for her that your baby mothers have?
I would prefer that my daughter and my sons get married and they have kids in a marriage.
So you would not want the same outcome.
So wait, you said marriage wasn't good enough for you. You used your dad as an example. Before you want marriage for them.
Hold on, Kenny. Before you go, let me finish with Clout. I just want to clarify. I would prefer that my children, at my big age and I'm in my wise age, I would prefer that they all get married and have children within that relationship. But they're going to make their own decisions in life.
So the answer is that you wouldn't prefer that for them.
Oh, I wouldn't. No, that's not preferable. My situation is not preferable for me.
Okay.
But it's also it's not a situation where, even though like I think that you should be with one woman and have kids and get married. I believe in that now at this point. I believe in that. But also at the same time, I'm not saying that my situation is wrong. There's no right and wrong when it comes to this.
Period.
Is there no right and wrong? Because that's a slippery slope. Because once we start saying there's no right and wrong,
it's not slippery.
Doing what the women do. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's not slippery at all.
Because it's okay to say it's wrong because you said it's not preferable for your life, which you mean it's wrong, and it's okay to say it's wrong.
It not being preferable does not mean it's wrong.
That is what it means. Because that means that you wanted. Because that would mean that another outcome would be the right one.
You made it easy for me to catch
no. It not being preferable
bothered me when I was in my European.
No, King Shield. I'm not. It doesn't. That doesn't mean that it's wrong because I have a preference of this. If I have a preference for thick women and I'm like, oh, this girl just pretty, she's not thick, but that don't mean that she's wrong. I'm wrong.
Let me frame it differently, right?
Yeah.
If I hop in my car and my intention is to get home safely, right? And I don't get home safely, I get in an accident. I'm going to say that on the way something went wrong. So if your preference and your intention was to do one thing and it didn't go that way, then that means that something went wrong.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
That's not true. So if you're talking about a car accident, you got to use a different example. A car accident, bro?
It's not about the car accident. You're missing the context of what I'm talking about. You have a destination.
Yeah.
You have a preference. You have an intention, a goal. The goal is to get to a destination safely. If that doesn't happen, then something wrong has occurred. Something went wrong in your plan.
Yeah.
All I'm trying to express is that it's okay to say that it was wrong. There's nothing wrong with saying it's wrong.
No. Yeah, but I disagree. I don't think that it's wrong. I don't.
Well, obviously you do if that's not what you would prefer for your daughter. You've changed your stance. Obviously,
wrong and desirable aren't the same.
The reason I believe he's saying that it's not wrong is because he view his kids as a blessing, and he wouldn't.
No, not even that.
No. But
if my daughter goes and has
the reason why he wouldn't want it for his daughter, because even though he
tried to save him
expressly, even though he didn't want to say it expressly in that verbiage, he expressed essentially that he would not want that for his daughter. And the deep down reason is because it's wrong. And he knows it's wrong.
No.
That's why he doesn't want that for his daughter.
It's not wrong. It's undesirable.
I don't want my children to be married because somewhere in his soul, he sees that as a better option.
As a moral compass.
To have a family.
That's all I'm saying. Me thinking that it's the best option does not mean that the other option is wrong. That's not a thing. It's not a thing. Of course, I would like for them to be married. They're women. I would like for them to be married, and I would like for them to be in a relationship. Or even my son, it's the same thing. I want you to be married and be together, and and all that, because that's what I believe in. I would never say that. Oh, even though I disagree with how Cam Newton, and Nick Cannon do their thing. I disagree with it, but I would never say that they're wrong due to my worldview. I can't say it's wrong. I'm gonna say, oh, it's not my thing. It's not my worldview.
Because holding them accountable would make you accountable.
No. It's not holding.
Holding them wrong would make you a victim of being wrong as well.
Clout, I can't hold you accountable for something that's not your worldview. I can't. I can only hold you accountable to your worldview and your logic. And if I find an inconsistency,
but
I'll hold you accountable to it.
I agree with you, but a person can also choose not to espouse a certain worldview to not indict themselves. So meaning I could know something is wrong, but refuse to acknowledge that it's wrong, because if I acknowledge that it's wrong, I'm indicting myself because I'm a person who falls into that category. But so that's what it seems like you're doing right now. I'm not saying that, but that's what it seems like. It seems like you're trying not to indict yourself, which is why you wouldn't judge Cam and them, because they're doing the same thing you're doing, essentially.
No, that's a completely reasonable stance that you have, and I can understand how you reasonably would think that you're wrong. I think, in my opinion, right?
It's interesting how you can say I'm wrong, but in all these other moral situations, you can't say right. That's interesting.
No, it's not interesting because I said you're wrong
because you can't call behavior wrong.
Let me finish. I said you're wrong because you said that. Oh, I think that you're doing this because I feel like you want to absolve yourself of pretty much any type of guilt or responsibility. You spoke on what you think that I do. You said something to that. You said something to that degree. You feel like if I indict them, I will be indicting myself, and you feel like and you feel like that's my position. That's what you feel like I feel, which makes you wrong if I'm myself and I'm like, yo, you're not right. You're wrong. I can say that. That's different.
Sure.
You
Like
still
if I said, Clout, you're over there, and I bet you're feeling guilty under all of that, and you're like, no, you're wrong. I don't feel guilty.
Yeah, no, but I wasn't saying that's what it is. I was saying that's what I think.
Yeah,
Yo, Daddy, if you do not have a moral compass for what was laid out and the reasons that you gave why it was okay, nobody can change your mind on that. But the perception is that you spoiled a woman that you did not intend to be with. You were old enough to know exactly what you were doing. You were selfish, saying that she couldn't have any other man, but you were frolicking among the lambs, you know, getting lamb chops, mutton, and all type of stuff everywhere. And then you're coming up here and we're giving you the platform to be like, you know what? I was a shitball back then. I was a pooky. I did fit the traditional role as one, but I aggressed into the man that I am now. Loving father, entrepreneur, businessman. I'm speaking optimistically about you got your mental and spiritual in check, but you were creating bastards back then.
Yeah, I disagree with you.
Which part?
One thing I will say though, bro, I will say you taking this like a champ, so I respect that a lot. It's not an easy conversation. I feel like you're handling it very well.
I just disagree, and it's
no,
okay.
But I respect the way you're disagreeing. I feel like you're handling it real well. So I'm just
saying, Daddy.
Hey, like I do want to hear from Jacoby and how you feel about what's being said. Jacoby, what's your thoughts?
Dope Daddy, I did this to you.
I mean, shit, bro. It depends on the situation, because just like with Black Chain, he say, he prefer women who has kids, bro. And then there's some dudes like myself who don't have children. I had a couple chicks who had like a miscarriage or whatever, but at the end of the day, I don't have kids. So, I mean, it just, like I said, it depends on the situation. A guy like me, I don't want a chick with kids, but there's some guys like him who prefer a chick with kids. So again, it depends on who you are.
Oh, can I say one thing too?
What's up, bro?
It's just about the it was about the worldview on the fuck. What was I about to say? I had it in my head.
Your conscience playing with you now.
Okay. Here it is. So when it comes to like Kenny, because Kenny was talking about how I was treating the girls or whatever back then, or whatever.
Went back to it. I told you got hurt.
No. Yo, Kenny, I just want to have a conversation, yo.
Sure.
Cool? All right, so look, I'm not the type of person. If you agree to a certain type of relationship, you agree to that type of relationship, right? If you're a woman and you like, yo, I want to be poly and I want to be with this man and this, like, agree to that. If you're a man and you like, yo, I want to be with this girl and let her be with other guys and I can't date no other men, you agree to that type of lifestyle. What y'all doing is y'all absorbing other people. It's like, what y'all doing is
my rose-colored glasses so I can hear the rest of this bullshit.
What y'all doing is y'all absorbing people of agency. That's what y'all doing. You saying, hey, well, real dope dad. What you did was you took this and you did this with this girl and you did that with this girl.
Travis hurt. You went back to it.
Y'all doing the same thing.
I'll say, I mean, if you asking me to respond on real dope situation, bro, I put it this way. My nigga, for me, whenever I impregnated a bitch, it literally was on accident, bro. I mean, shit happens. I mean, with you straight up didn't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? And didn't want the bitch in the first place. You know what I'm saying? And to a certain extent, bro, it's kind of stupid, but shit happens. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, bro. As long as you taking care of your kids, then I amend you, bro. As long as you taking care of, them, bro, it's hard to talk shit about you. I mean, everybody got kids nowadays, bro, especially around your age.
I do more than take. I'm responsible for my kids. I'm responsible for how their lives turn out.
We say
I respect
kids.
that.
How many are we talking about?
I got 3 kids.
Okay.
All same child's mother?
No, different moms.
All 3.
How many?
Different.
3, bro.
How many?
All 3.
Huh?
3.
We got them, y'all.
What?
So
wait, all right, wait. I was about to let that shit rock. I was about to let it rock.
This how thorough I am.
He's helping the population, all right?
Hold up.
This how thorough I am. I got all of my kids, 3 different moms, All of my kids, I don't got no baby
As
mama
you
drama.
should.
I don't got none of that, and all my kids is with me.
I would never want to get those baby mamas hot that they put me on the.
It's a lot of guys who can't get custody of one kid.
Wait, all your kids live with you? All your kids live with you?
All my kids, yeah, they got bedrooms. They all got a bedroom. Yeah, they go to school with me, wake up, take them to school, daddy, get them all that type of stuff. They go, I drop them off to the mom on the weekend.
That's good. I mean, keep it a band, bro. Keep it a band. You may not have want the chick, but did you low key want kids at the time?
I had my son's mom asked for a baby.
I mean, did you want the baby?
That's not the answer.
I didn't mind.
He asked you if you
didn't mind. I ain't mind. Which one is it, bro? Okay, you ain't want it. I'm gonna express to you at the time.
I'm gonna express to you my exact mindset at the time, right? My son's mom was my first child. She said, "Hey, I want to have a baby." We was together for a couple years, She said, "Hey, I want to have a baby." I said, "All right, cool. We can have a baby." I didn't care. Now my second,
defend your man. Go get a snack.
Ain't no defense. There's nothing to defend me against,
bro.
There's nothing to defend me against.
You ain't my age. So, hey, bro, it's yes or no, bro? So you just you ain't give a fuck. Just hey, fuck it. I'll take the 18 years from a couple kids or whatever the case might be. Like,
look how Willie got you just hanging out. He can't fight.
The reason I don't think that it's meaningful to answer yes or no is because it wasn't a yes or no type of thing.
It was a yes or no question.
What? Nigga, these are. Wait a minute, bro. Hold on. These are whole human lives you got to take care of. Cause what you mean? It ain't just a yes or no thing, bro.
All right,
ain't no regular nigga out here like I don't give a fuck. Hey, if you want kids, sure, fuck it.
Jacoby, that's the thing. You said regular nigga. I've never had the mindset of a regular. I've never been a regular nigga. I'm a 7-figure type of guy. Like I'm not. I've never been a regular nigga. My mind has never been like, oh, how am I going to take care of these kids?
You say you a 7-figure type dude?
You a 7-figure type of nigga.
And so you've been a 7-figure type nigga since you was 24?
No.
Okay, and at the time you say you had your kids between ages 24 to 26, correct?
Correct.
So you was living the average nigga's life during the time.
I didn't feel that way.
You ain't feel that way, but was you?
It's a fact.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you was, and so you mean to tell me you just didn't give a fuck whether or not you had kids or not at the time, bro?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to express.
Okay.
Yeah, so I said something the other night, right?
Changed.
I said something the other night. I told the guys that I was a provider before I ever had money, right? And they was like, "What do you mean? What do you mean?" It's all a mindset. I don't know if y'all believe this, but I was a get money nigga before I got money.
My nigga, these aren't cats and dogs, bro. It's not just you know what I'm saying? I don't mind type deal when it comes to kids. You know what I'm saying?
I got 3 kids who live. I got 3 kids who live with me, and you're trying to. How many kids you got?
I was supposed to have 2, bro. I don't have any.
You don't have any kids. I got 3 who live with me. And you trying to explain me how serious having kids is?
Bro, no, I'm not trying to explain to you that. But based off what you said earlier, bro, I'm just trying to understand your logic.
I pay over $1,000 a month for for insurance for us.
Hold on. You pay child support?
No, I don't pay no child. I pay insurance. They on my insurance. I'm a self-employed. I got my entrepreneur.
Wait. None of your baby mamas took you to the law.
No, I'm not one of them. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna say that.
Asking. I need there's a lot of things that you leave out, so I got to look under the carpet.
I don't got no child support. I don't got no child support.
Damn.
Boy, that stung you. You came back with
the only thing that I would say about that is because it seems like it had to be intentional, because it's like, all right, the first time it happened, it's like, all right, cool. Second time, third time, it's like, all right, you can't, like, there's no way that you're gonna have 3 sip-ups at that point. But see, here's what we always tell women, right? We say, look, you are robbing the children of that experience, right? Of having a dual parent household. Most of us believe in that. Maybe you don't, but that part of it is what we usually tell women, because they'll say, well, no, he could pick him up whenever he want, blah, blah, blah. But we're like, nah. He need to be in that house, that discipline, that structure. He needs to be in the house to really relegate shit. You can't, it's not something that you could necessarily do remote as effectively as you would as if you were in the dwelling. So, I mean, if we just use that same logic, and bring it to the females, and it's like, okay, there's certain that nurturing, that, not to say that single fathers don't do a better job, but there still are some very important things that you're going to need from that woman for them to have access to. It's just a different ball game, and that's the only thing that I say, because it's not just you at that point. I know you making your life decisions, but once you create a life, now it's decisions that is going to affect everyone. Everyone's going to be impacted. You know what I mean? Like, and then when you have it with separate women, it's like it's tougher, right? I'm sure. Well, I can't say I'm sure because I don't know what you got going on, but I would imagine that when you have multiple baby mothers, that it can complicate matters. You have to coordinate things, right? It gets weird when you have functions and shit like that, and then you gotta have, like, I don't know about y'all, but I used to have like 4 graduation tickets. They wouldn't give us no more. We had small ass auditoriums and shit. That's everybody. So nobody else can come. That's you. You know what I'm saying? It's different, man. And then you got different, like, they want to take them somewhere. There's certain times where they're going to be split. Okay, you're going to go with your mother. You're going to go with your mother. You're going to go with your mother. That type of shit is like, all right, that complicates matters to me. So that's the only thing that I would encourage men not to do, is to have the multiples. Even if you would have just had somebody you co-parenting, if you got the one, I dig it. But then it's like everybody. And then now you got a woman who you're serious about who's not part of it, right? So she might want her own. So then that'll make it 4. You know what I'm saying? So it's only going to further complicate matters. So I think that's why everybody's trying to, I guess, hold you accountable or whatever.
Hey,
I just want to bring it to the light, huh?
Did y'all change your stance on the divorce?
Let Trev finish his statement, Kenny.
Because I'm about to get you. You said you pay $1,000 of insurance each month for each kid?
No, all together. I got a family plan.
You got a family plan of what? What is $1,000 to?
You know how much medical insurance costs?
When you pay for your own insurance, like, it's not tied to a job. You work for yourself.
Oh, that's what he was talking about. I was about to break out the financial house and see what he's talking about, because he just said that I pay for the medical, as you should. Them is your kids. But
God damn.
Yo, so I'm not sure if he wanted to respond to anything that I was saying.
No,
or whatever.
I did, because
I apologize.
I would never advocate for men to do what I do, because I can't say that they're not me. So I don't know what are the chances that you'll actually be able to be with your kids as much as I'm with my kids. I'm with my kids more than I'm with my kids more than 2 married parents. I'm with my kids more than them because I'm self-employed. I work from home. I'm here. Like, if my kid's sick, they say, "Oh, Mr. What's the name? Come get your kids." I'm right there in the middle of the day. They come home with me. I'm with my kids more than, like, we get home, we do homework, we go to wrestling practice, we go to jujitsu. Like, I'm with my kids 24/7. They get all the daddy. And I understand your points of, like, so you can go on my Instagram page, right? And you'll see a video of me taking my daughters to Kitty Prom. I went and I bought the dresses. They moms, they got their hair done and all that type of stuff. But for the most part, that was me. That was my thing of, like, yo, they having a Kitty Prom. I'm gonna take care of the dresses. You just get their hair done and all that type of stuff. It's honestly really easy. At least for me. I don't know about nobody else. It's easy for me.
Here's the only thing. And that's a great point that you ended with right there. It is easy for you, but for most men, that's not our reality. Something has to be terribly wrong with the woman for us to get full custody. We're not getting that shit off. Most men ain't getting that off. What is it, about 90%, some shit like that? 90, some crazy, like 90% of women get the custody. So if we try that shit, I live in Jersey, which is like one of the worst states. They really favor women. That's not going to be our reality. Mm-hmm. They will, ostracize the father. You ain't getting no visitation. You getting hit with child support, and that's what most men's reality is going to look like. So that's why I always say you gotta be careful how we message things, because not everybody gonna get that off. You were obviously very savvy as to how you did it on that level. You chose women that I guess really wasn't aggressive like that, but some of these women are terrible. I know dudes who have tried to see their children for years and couldn't, and the law doesn't really enforce that. They only enforce the financial side of things. So now the dudes is going to be seriously asked out trying to emulate what it is that you did. So that's part of the problem that I'm having with it, because for most dudes, we hit out here, we try to do that shit, unless she's a straight up junkie or some shit. It's extremely unlikely that the dude is going to get anything as far as custody is concerned. You're lucky to get dual custody.
I think a lot of guys make a lot of mistakes. A lot of guys is fucking their baby moms. Y'all know that trope of like, you don't deal with a guy, he's still dealing with his baby mom. I didn't touch the women after, I ain't touch them. I always, and also I believe in getting your kids immediately. A lot of guys try to get their kids later after the woman been doing all this work. They've been with the kids 7 days a week and all this type of stuff. Then they want to come in and try and get some custody. From the rip, I was like, yo, I'm gonna do half the work. From the rip, I'm gonna do half the work. Then they became school age. I said, yo, I live in a nice area. They can go to school with me. I don't worry about nothing. I got it. Take care of it. It was just that easy. But I think a lot of guys kind of try and come afterward and then get a custody situation after the woman feels like, this is my child. I've had this baby for this long, and she's been with me, and she's only been able to, I've been doing this and that and the third. Nobody's been picking her up. And I think a lot of guys try to come and get and say, I'm half of the parent, I'm 50%. And the women don't feel like they've been 50% of the parent. But also I could be wrong. I don't know. But I know for me, I think that for all men, if you do have a situation where you're not with the mother, immediately go like, yo, we can split time. You don't have to have a baby all the time. Let's split time right down the middle.
All your baby mothers are cool?
Yeah. I think so. They're cool. I mean, chicks, every woman get weird every once in a while. So I dealt with them kind of like, hey, I want to move to Alabama with my dad. I dealt with that early on and all that type of stuff. But it was just talking, never had to really I went to court for my one daughter. And two of my kids I had like, because I was with the woman. One of them I had with a woman who I used to deal with. I just dealt with her one time real quick. And I ended up getting a DNA test later on when that baby came out. I didn't plan on having my daughter. But when I did, when I did take the DNA test and it was like, oh, this is your daughter. She said, all right, what do you want to do? I said, drop her off. She's like, really? You got the other two kids? I was like, it's cool. I'll figure it out. Just drop her off. And she's gonna fit into the schedule with my other babies. So, yeah.
Hey, y'all see how y'all just spent 30 minutes highlighting the fact that everything he did was wrong and all this other bullshit, but y'all ain't gave this man no flowers for being a single black father of 3 kids in the house by himself.
I guess you don't listen.
You know what, Clout? You probably did. You did, Clout. I take it back, Clout. I take it back, Clout. You did. But for the majority, y'all was trying to be blaming and shit, talking about
man spiritually that
he's
he's right now
he did this,
taking care of his kids and
Mine
such.
is one of the guys where it's like the reason why more black children have fathers than other races do, because of men like him. And y'all can't sit and say y'all talking to a 24-year-old version 8 years later. 8 years ago he did this shit. He don't think that now. Clout, you cool, bro. I agree with what you were saying. That's why I didn't talk. But Kenny, that was bullshit. So like y'all talking to an 8-year-old version of this man. Like he thought this cool. He thought it was cool to do that shit back then. Look at what he's done since. And then even in the comments,
daddy, he got you.
Chat, the good comments, friend. The girls are doing the same shit. And it's funny because these opinions and profile pictures don't match. And then 2, for these public pages, for y'all to have y'all kids don't look alike either. So for us to be trying to make fun of him, you're saying for having multiple baby mamas, you're saying have multiple baby mamas and creating broken homes or some shit, that's just not fair.
Make fun of hold them accountable.
Even though I was giving pushback because I think Kenny made some good points, I will say what you're doing is phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? At 24, I don't think I would have been able to take it. Bro, I'm about 10 years older than you now, and even the thought of having 3 kids right now is overwhelming for me. So what you're doing is amazing. We need more black fathers. Keep doing it, bro.
Yeah, and listen, I don't feel no type of way either. Y'all saying what y'all believe. I get it. I totally understand it. I do disagree, and at another time we can argue the logic because it's always going to be about the logic. It's not personal with me. It's always about the logic. Thanks. So we can talk more about that another time. Like I do disagree. I do think that y'all doing that thing where you're removing the agency from the other party. You're saying that, oh, you did this to them. How could you do this to her? We don't forget what she signed.
Forget about I can do what I want.
Forget about the contract.
Daddy. I could frolic among the lambs and I could do what I want to you, but you can't have no other man. You forgot saying that?
I don't take issue.
Forget about the contract that person signed. It doesn't matter. They weren't under they weren't under the they didn't have the agency. Like that's what y'all doing. Y'all removing the agency from women. I hope y'all know y'all doing that, right? Y'all doing that?
Oh, you keep saying y'all.
You're treating them like they kids. You're saying you.
But real dope, Daddy. Let me say this though. Let me say this because this is not. This has nothing to you. You just so happen to be the example you're using. We got to talk beyond you. We got to talk to the other men. What real dope daddy is, I would not recommend no other man do this. I wouldn't recommend our sons, our nephews, or our cousins to do it the way you did it. I would not do that.
But if you do,
that you came out on top. Congratulations to you. Like Will said, congratulations, you came out on top. But the majority of the guys wouldn't be on the other side like you are. They wouldn't have this.
Basically, people don't do it the way you did it.
Now, they will hold on, Clap. They will still be in court right now fighting for them to even get the right to have visitation. Because, like you said, one of the girls talking about moving to Alabama. They would have actually moved to Alabama. Now he's got to go cross state just to see his son or his daughter or his child. So it's just you fortunate enough it happened in the right way for you. Majority of men it wouldn't. So that's the reason why it was kind of good to have this conversation. We appreciate you being a good sport about it. But fellas, you out there, this is June. June is Men Mental Health Month, and doing something like this can mess with your mental health.
I think fathers need to.
I would just say, yo, don't do it the way he did it. But if you go and do it the way he did it, do it the way he does it. You know what I'm saying?
I think fathers need to have more information about their rights too, because a lot of the stuff you're saying about what should happen, what usually happens, it happens because men don't know what their rights are. For example, if his son's mother had moved to Alabama without his permission, they would have ordered that kid to come back when he went to court. He'd have to go to court and file a motion for contempt to do that, but then they would have enforced that child to come back to where he was because he was the primary caregiver. So she can't just take the kid and abscond to a different state. That's not legal. It happens a lot because men just don't fight it. Most men can't afford what it costs to hire a family law attorney. The average family law attorney retainer is $5,000. The average American doesn't have that safe. And it doesn't have that money disposable for just the drop of a dime. So for these, or what bro was like, you'd be lucky to get physical joint custody with the child. That's not luck. That's something that you just have to negotiate. So if more men knew what their rights were, I don't think that a lot of these things would, like, it's sad that you guys think that's normal, and it's not, and not automatically think that it's cool because, hey, well, we just don't know what we're capable of. We don't know what our rights are because most men don't exercise them. And that's like one of the nonprofits that I work with closely is called Fathers First. And we look at cases like this on a case-by-case basis, and we'll pay for someone to go get a lawyer if the case is too far gone. But usually it's just guys not knowing what they have the access to, and then also knowing what their rights are. Because once you know what your rights are, all of that shit y'all said tonight is not, it's not true. Like, it's not. And someone brought up Georgia. So the cool part about Georgia is that all of these things affect Georgia is a shelter state. So what they'll allow you to do is they'll allow you to stay there while the court hearing goes underway. They won't issue an order for you to send that child back in the middle of the hearing. But that's still, again, it's still illegal, and it's going to also end up having to get his shit back. So, but yeah, I'll land there. But that father stuff is something that I'm kind of an advocate for. So anytime I see a dad doing what he's supposed to do with his kids, regardless how the fuck they got here, you know what I'm saying? I'm always gonna go to bat for them.
I know for me, like when it came down to like the time where I thought I needed to be like, I was going to go to court for something. Actually, I went to court for my daughter early on when she was like 8 months old, and her mom told me like, oh, you can't see her one time. I said, all right, see me in court. But when we got to court, she was like, all right, he can split custody. It was easy. But I think the second I even thought I might have been put on child support, I went and I did so much research that same night. I could have been a lawyer 2 days later. I could have been a family law attorney. That's how much research I did. I had found on the internet that I could just call a lawyer and talk to him for $100. So I called a lawyer. I got on the phone with him. I'm just asking him questions. I'm asking him this. I'm asking him that. But this brings me back to the situation where a lot of us don't do that, and that's one of the things I don't like.
Research.
A lot of men don't research. A lot of men like this. All they say 80% of women file for divorce. I beat them to the punch. I was the plaintiff. When I did go for my daughter. And I think a lot of men, they're not doing the research. They're not showing any fight. And that's one of the things that I don't like.
Yeah, but
go ahead, Jeff.
I was just gonna say before we even do it, I think because from the stories, including myself, I'm guilty, is that a lot of children are birthed into this world, and it wasn't part of the plan. So I think that it's too late for us, but I think if we gonna bring some children, then we gotta understand how much sacrifice, time, I've said this before, it takes in order to be a parent. You basically are giving up your life. And if you're not giving up your life, then your kids are missing out on it. And if you don't want to be a part of it, then we got to be a little bit more responsible, because that's what's creating all these issues a lot of times, because they're not coming in environments that are healthy, and they're not planned, and they become an inconvenience for us, because a lot of us still trying to live our life. We're still trying to get our groove back. We're still trying to like relive those childhood moments that we never got the opportunity to. Not because we got money. So I think we got to do better planning when it comes to children. Be intentional with the relationships. Be intentional with who you lay down with. Be intentional the way you put your seed. And blockchain is absolutely right. A lot of men don't know their rights. I know somebody that hired an attorney, and they felt like their attorney wasn't doing good enough. And so they researched, and then they fired their attorney, and they represented themselves. Because, and I know a couple of attorneys, once you retain them, you don't know what type of version you're going to get. And so that's why you have to be able to be in tune with what's going on with the attorney. So it's kind of sad to say, because you think about it, you pay your attorney to do this work, but your attorney is not doing the work. So you have to watch your attorney. It's almost like when your kids bring homework home, it's like, I don't want to have to teach you this. I don't want to have to do this. But if they don't know how to do it, then now you got to do the homework with them. So it's like you're doing your homework. You're doing the homework with them, and you're being a part of something that you really wasn't prepared to do. But just be intentional with bringing the kids in, and understand how much sacrifice it takes to actually be a parent / father.
Hey, so for real, for anybody who's looking to
vet,
I
always make sure I talk about is making sure you know your family laws in your prospective state. Every state has their laws. Make sure you know them, get to know them, especially if you're in a situation where you are just a baby daddy. You really need to know your family laws, because the first thing what you need to do is make sure you establish paternity. That's one of the things you got to do. Make sure you do that. So
especially in states like Georgia, you got to establish paternity up front. But for anybody trying to vet an attorney for family law, one of the things that you should look at is kind of like people who do criminal law. You want to look at them saying how the outcomes they're getting for their clients, right? And when you're having those free conversations like that, that consultation, ask them, how long have you been doing this, right? I'm not trying to be funny, because, they say a doctor that graduated today with a C, whatever. If he's been doing this shit for 2 or 3 years, trust me, he's only doing family law because that's the only way he can eat. He can't reach or access people who can get him the other types of law where he'll make a bunch of money. So you want to find someone that's been doing family law because it's a passion for 10 plus years. And then you want to ask them to see some of their previous case results, because they'll share that with you. It's not going to be any PI, but they can say, for one father, I got this. This is what we're doing. I negotiated this type of visitation for him. Like, you have to ask questions the same way like you're trying to vet a woman, because you finna pay this man at least $5,000. And then on top of, so for example, from me getting custody of my kids, right? It cost me $180,000 between going to court, changes the venue, delays, and all the other bullshit stipulations that she was trying to pull because she's in the military. It's easy to hide behind that. But one of the things that I learned is that the money that I'm paying to my attorney, if he wasn't doing things like Hink said that I knew to expect, and that if I didn't see him taking things that I knew that I wanted to do, I would have had a problem. But because I researched him, bro had 25 years in. Bro, he's gotten custody for the last 15 men that have wanted it. I knew that was my guy, so I paid for it. The problem is that most of us don't have access to resources that we can do that. We can Google shit all day, and it's super disingenuous to think that anybody can go read some shit and then know how to argue in court. Most people don't even know how to articulate their points when they go to court. For example, you can't say, oh, she was a mean person to me. She did this and she did this. You have to say it like, well, my experience with her is this. You can't call her a bitch. You have to categorize her behavior as a bitch. So like, those are just the nuances that attorneys understand. So when you're in these courtrooms with these places, you're not going to have these problems. So when guys go in here and think that, okay, well, I'm going to watch a YouTube video about Georgia law, and then now you're mad because you can't see your kid and you're paying $2,700 a month for one child because they calculate more of your income and your retirement, disregard your taxes, and then any type of tournament winnings or whatever, all that other type of shit. Like, most people can't do that. So it will just behoove you, to Clout's point earlier, probably just to be careful when you have kids. Because if you're not having kids with someone you married to, which fortunately I haven't done that yet, if you aren't having kids with someone you married to, you have no right to that child. Like, it's not by default. You have to go and establish your right to that child. When you're married, it's automatic. It's inherently your right. So most dudes don't know that. Like, and it's not fair. I wouldn't say it's fair to expect us to either until we're in that situation. None of us studies for a test we don't know we're going to take. None of us do.
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
I think it's important that we speak about it, you know, that we just continue to like try and educate whenever we meet younger guys, try and educate them on, you know, stuff like that. Just things that we know that we wouldn't know. Like, I know they got mad at me, but like when they asked me like, what would you want for your kids? I said I want them to get married, have kids. You know, I was on the same time as Hank when it come to like, you know, I don't tell other people to like, yo, do what I did and stuff like that. So, but I think it's important that we educate the younger men on the mistakes that we've made, or, you know, things that we didn't see when we was in their age.
Yeah, I think one of the best things we can do is be real about the mistakes and situations we put ourselves into. It makes for a better future for the youth.
I told my son to get a vasectomy as soon as I found out what college he was going to.
Where you going?
He went to the University of North Texas. So, and he at the house. So I was like, listen, his mom said no, she didn't want to do it. So, but I was like, you can get that shit reversed in 10 years. You'll be 28.
Yeah, but it's risky.
Yeah, he's
you can get it reversed, but it's risky because it doesn't always work out the way you want it to. You might end up with multiple surgeries and shit like that. It definitely reduces your chances.
Right, and so is having a relationship with the wrong woman. I think that's equally, if not more, risky.
Yeah, but that still be the case even without having children with women.
Yeah, abstinence.
The relationship period could
guarantee you
break it down.
Well, I'm definitely not practicing. I can't tell my kids to be abstinent, because when I was my son's age, I was fucking. That's where he came from. So I can't necessarily sit here and tell him that. Like, I'm not gonna be a hypocrite and be like, hey son, when you're in college, you need to not hit nothing and just give hugs, and and grab some ass. That's not how that works. And then he's an athlete, so it's impossible. Like, y'all keep saying tell kids about condoms. More kids are spending money on Plan Bs than they are condoms. Like,
you know what though? You know what's crazy though? I think that sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit for what we actually could do, because it's not happening to everybody, right? Like I said before, teenage pregnancy is already down. There are less people already doing it, and most other cultures don't even speak like that. Not everybody's experiencing this, right? Not everybody has a high teenage pregnancy rate. Not everybody's gonna get knocked up or have a bunch of sexual partners in college. There's plenty of people. If you talk about Asians per se, they sometimes do not have many sexual partners at all. You know what I'm saying? And they don't feel like it's unrealistic. It's just part of that culture, and they good with it. And whatever. If that's not what you want to do, if you want him to have that experience, I can't knock you for that. That's cool. But what I don't want us to say is that it's impossible or unrealistic. If we instill those values in our children, like other cultures decide to, which we're well capable of, if not more capable of, then we could have them to do anything they want. It's unrealistic for a person to try to be an entrepreneur, because most people fail at their businesses, right? But if you know what you're doing and you give the person the specifics on how to accomplish that, right, then they will do it. I think we could have that same type of principle.
I think it's damn near detrimental to have your sons be virgins, but that's, I guess,
100%. Like, I think so. I say it kind of as a joke. Like, I told him to get a vasectomy, but it's the same way. Like I said, I want my daughter to be a lesbian when she grow up, because that way I ain't got to worry about her getting pregnant, because ain't nobody got pregnant from a plastic dick. So I don't want her to discover men until she's 30, because then she can have, that's fine. But like, I don't have to worry about nothing with her. You know what I'm saying? Because it's safe. That's all I was trying to do, was tell my son. I was trying to protect my son from making the mistakes that I made at his age. Because when I was my son's age with his mother, I was very irresponsible with my dick. Obviously, because him and his brother are here. So I know the one surefire way to make sure that he doesn't make those same mistakes, because he's gonna fall in love, he's gonna find somebody, all the other stuff, right? Having a bad relationship fail is one thing. Having a relationship fail when kids are involved is another. And I had a relationship fail with his mom when there were 2 children involved. If I could go back in time and do it all over again, I promise you, like y'all was asking, I would do it differently. And I wouldn't want that for my children. So I found a way, albeit somewhat extreme, potentially, for them to avoid that. But I only have to worry about it with my oldest son, because he's the athlete. My other sons are nerds, so they just like money, building stuff, and they'll be fine. But my oldest son is a college athlete. So you know what that, for all of y'all have been college athletes at some point, y'all know what that looks like when you go to school. So
I had this same conversation. They disagree. A lot of people disagree with me. Made videos about it and shit. But
bro,
it's a different experience.
So at the very least, I would say at least you got to use protection, because there's not only the pregnancy that we have to worry about, right? People running around with that Batman Forever. A lot of these girls, like some of y'all said, it was extremely nasty. So, we got a lot of things going on. This ain't the 60s and all of that shit where it wasn't that deep. Now, like, it's not just the clap. You got like a lot of permanent situations we worried about right now. So regardless of it's not just about the children, having children. We have to worry about their health.
Yeah, I think the worst thing that you can do is give somebody advice that's they're not going to follow. So like, for example, you know how like the best trainers will tell you like, yo, I want to meet you where you are. I don't want to bring you into the gym and tell you got to be here for 2 hours and we got to be doing HIIT workouts the whole time. What I'm gonna tell you is to like just make it to the gym. If you only got 30 minutes, be there for 30 minutes. If you got 20 minutes, get there for 20 minutes. Only go 2 times a week. Start slow. So like, for example, my mom told me 2 things. One of them I didn't follow. One of the things I did follow. She said, yo, use condoms. And the other thing she said was like, yo, don't have sex with no woman who you don't want to be the mother of your kid. I felt like telling a man like don't have sex with no woman that you essentially wouldn't marry is not going to work. Like I'm like, mom, you're not like what? Her? Like she looked like that. Yeah, she ain't gonna be the mom of my kids, but I'm gonna hit her. Like,
so you didn't listen to your mom?
No, I ain't listen to my mom. I use condoms for the vast majority of the time I was having sex until I turned like 24 and I got in relationship, kind of situationship or whatever. But for the vast majority of the time, I never took the condom off. But when it came to like only have sex with a woman that you in a relationship with, that you want to see that you can see as the mother of your kids, I didn't necessarily think that was realistic. It can be for some people, but for some people it's like, nah, mom, I want to take her down right there. So,
bro, my pops told me if I have to use a condom, I shouldn't be having sex. At 16, I thought my dad was telling me to go out here and raw dog bitches. That's what at 16, that's what it meant.
That's what it sounds like.
At 30, when I'm telling my son, I shouldn't sleep with women that I have to protect myself from in any way. So if I'm worried about catching something, getting them pregnant, or anything like that, I shouldn't be sleeping with them. So cool, right? I get it at 30, but at 16, some of this shit we just aren't thinking like that when we give this. Some of that advice is like it's ill-timed.
So Will, my mom told me everything that glitters ain't gold, and showed me STDs in a book and told me about wrapping it up. She also said you don't need to have one girlfriend. You need to space girlfriends out if you walking by 10 blocks and if you driving by a town.
Yeah, I like your mom, bro. She sound cool.
Yeah,
like because
I sound like a pimp.
It took me like I'm thinking, no, Dad, I'm still strapping up. Like I didn't have unprotected sex until I was married. So like I dodged that, right? But then at the same time, the advice was still stupid to me because I'm like, my pops told me to not use a condom if I'm having sex. Like that's it never clicked. And then like I'm like damn near 30, and I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. That now I get it. If I gotta protect myself from you, I shouldn't be sleeping. Okay, I get it now. But at 16, man, I thought my dad was just trying to set me up for failure.
All right.